Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz live on this fantastic Sunday. Beautiful weather in most parts of the country. And when cricket is on, everybody's in a good mood anyway. Yes, we've lost the series 2-0, but it's fine. It's still cricket. We still love the game. We're still here to support our respective teams. India, in most cases, for people who are watching. And South Africa, I'm sure. For some people as well. This game is, of course, happening at Cape Town, has moved from Paarl, with a beautiful Table Mountain in the back of Newlands. It's not, don't say it. Don't say that word. No one's playing for pride. You're playing for a lot of things. You're playing for combination. You're playing to give players a chance. You're playing to get a good 11 for a team that has not played one-day cricket in a really long time. Well, you're watching Cricbuzz Live. We're here to discuss all these things and more. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, Harsha Bhogle and Dinesh Karthik. Good afternoon, DK. I'll start with you first. We won't talk about pride, but there are a lot of other things to play for as well. For a team that's kind of rusty in this format, has not played for a long time, so you can't blame them, to get their combination right and to kind of reset a good 11 here.
I think it's a massive game for the coach as well, to get to see some talent who he will be hoping would be part in the future for Team India. So it's a very important game, more so for India than for South Africa, for various reasons. As we know, they haven't played much one-day cricket, but they have a World Cup in 18 months' time. And how many of those guys who are part of this team that he believes can make it into that squad? And that is the tough question in many ways, because you have a lot of people just tethering around a certain age bracket, which you believe is not going to work when 2023 World Cup comes around. So it's going to be very interesting to see where the coach is going to take this team through. In many ways, at the end of the day, you have to understand with Team India, the beauty is no matter which game you play, whichever part of the world, you always expect it to win. And even in this case, even though we are 2-0 down, it's always going to be a case of wanting to win another game of cricket. Is that fair, Harsha, to say that Team India always has that sort of extra pressure to win consistently, irrespective of whether the series result is gone or not?
Yes, I mean, when you have the kind of following, DK, that India has, and you always knew it, but you're realizing it more and more as you do media work. With the following, there's a lot of benefits that come from it, but there's far greater scrutiny than any other team in the world that comes when India goes out and plays. You could argue Pakistan, Bangladesh, other Asian teams, but the scale of scrutiny when India plays is at a different level. So it cuts both ways. I'm delighted Gaurav didn't talk about pride, because I've yet to meet a player, and I hope I don't meet one, who takes the field with the great privilege of playing for India and doesn't carry pride with him onto the ground. Whether you're going out to bat at 40 for 8 or you're going out to bowl on a turner with 6 wickets in front of you, you always play with pride. So I'm playing for pride. So what was I doing the other few days, man? I was just like turning up to eat a banana or what,
I'm going to add to that. I'll say not just playing for India, and I'm sure like it's happened for me, playing for Colony, playing for school, playing for, Channel V when I played, and DK will tell you, even playing gully cricket, you always, there's that pride in team, right? That's why two words I can't stand with cricket: momentum and pride.
Momentum to some extent, yeah. Momentum to some extent, because when you won, I mean, it's not a great. Look, a lot of words lose their meaning when they're used in any context. But you had, suppose you're acting on stage, Gaurav. You're acting on stage. You've had 2 crackerjack performances. You're just feeling great going in a third time. To me, that is momentum. Nothing more, nothing less than that.
All right. So then that's confidence, right? That's confidence. It's not momentum.
I mean, just because you don't like the word momentum and you're searching for a synonym, we can give you a few more.
But that's more appropriate, right? Confidence. DK will tell you every time you may score 300, but when you go out to the next match, that classic line, right? You're at 0.
Oh, true. I understand you're not too much of a friend with the word momentum, which is widely used and at times abused in IPL, especially. That's where they speak a lot about momentum. You win 2 games and then you apparently have momentum going forward. But the right word is confidence. I think that makes a massive difference. I think momentum and confidence in cricketing parlance, I think in many ways is a synonym. I think that's what they mean. When you walk in with a certain amount of confidence, the way you express yourself as a team and as an individual is way, way better. And having said that, we have some interesting changes, GK, today.
Yes, we do. We had predicted that there'd be few. I think I predicted 4 or 5 the other day is what I said in the post game, but we've got 3. India has won the toss and is bowling first. The 3 changes you have that Ash, Bhuvi, and Venkatesh Iyer. Or 4 changes, right? Yes, 4. We know.
No,
We're
3.
tracking 3. There's 4 changes. So we've got Ash, Bhuvi, Venkatesh Iyer. Who's the 4th? Who's the 4th who's sitting out? Shardul? Lord is not there. Who's going to bat then?
Shardul is sitting out. They're playing 6 batsmen today. They're playing both. They're playing both Shreyas and Surya Kumar Yadav. They're playing 6 batsmen, and Jayant Yadav comes in for Ashwin. So he'll bat at 7. Prasidh Krishna, Deepak Chahar, Bumrah, and Chahar.
That's interesting. It's a race. Who's going to bat at number 8? I just hope it doesn't go till there, because there might be a bit of an issue. But 4 changes here. DK, your reactions on the 4 changes?
Look, I think this is you have to expect India to make some changes. As I said, this is as much a game for the coach to see what he's got in the shed as much as it is for the Indian cricketers to go out there and perform. Obviously, a major decision in the near future would be Shikhar Dhawan. I think, he's at that crossroads in everybody else's mind where he stands. Again, just leaving out in an inconsequential game as this is a tough call on him. So imagine how it is in between series when you want to move on from him. What is the kind of, obviously, parlance, if you're going to say, what we don't believe you'll be in the scheme of things in the next 18 months' time. So that's going to be a hard one, which way they're going to go again. So they've gone back to the 6-5 strategy again. You can say Deepak Chahar and Jayant could probably, be that 7th batter if possible. But under pressure, if you're chasing a big total, they're not the guys who are going to bail you out. So we have to say that we're playing 6 proper batters and 5 bowlers, and that's not going to work. That's not going to work in a World Cup. It's for sure not going to happen. Definitely, they have to bring in that extra bowler, the 6th bowling option. And obviously, in time when everybody is fit, then the whole dynamics changes. But for the moment, I think the changes are all warranted. All the guys obviously not playing today, barring Shardul, have had pretty ordinary games in the 2 that they've played. It's hard on a couple of the guys, especially Ashwin and Venkatesh Iyer. But, that's what happens when you don't win series, and when you have a new coach who's come in and he wants to look at the rest of the players, that's bound to happen. It's a bit of a collateral damage.
Yeah, but it's fair, right, Harsha? I mean, because this is it's inconsequential game and an inconsequential series. And I'm not saying that as a sort of an upset fan. The fact is there are no league points in this. And, it's just this bilateral, which has been kind of cobbled together. You could have probably the 4 T20s, keeping them when the series was delayed would have made more sense. But anyway, that's all, ifs and buts. But right now you have to treat it as an audition for this one-day team. Try the combinations, try the bench. You got to do that. There is no other way out.
I mean, could you have gone to Shikhar Dhawan and said, look, we know everything that is to be known about you. We rate you very high. We wouldn't have picked you in the squad otherwise. The easiest thing in the world would have been not to pick Shikhar Dhawan in this squad because he's had a bad build-up to the tournament. DK talked about it yesterday. Slowish pitches. He doesn't enjoy playing there. Easiest thing would have been to go to Shikhar Dhawan and say, look, we need to check out this Ruturaj Gaikwad. He's come with a great run of form behind him. But we know what to expect from you. We know everything about you. We picked you for the first 2 games. Would you mind sitting out? We'll give Ruturaj Gaikwad a game here just to see what he is like. Now, I don't know how that conversation would happen. I don't know how someone would take it. Because if I was Shikhar, I wouldn't take it too well. But if I was the coach, I want to see Ruturaj Gaikwad play. So everyone's perspective is different. If Shardul has played a lot of cricket, Jasprit Bumrah has played a lot of cricket right through the test match here. But I think you just look at that bowling lineup and look at it from KL Rahul's eyes and say, there is no Bumrah there.
Yeah.
He says, oh, okay. Who am I going to? So maybe that's the reason Bumrah's playing this one.
Yeah. There's, of course, Jayant Yadav has come in as well. And, I really want to get you 2 gentlemen out because here's the thing. And I remember Ajay Jadeja has been crying hoarse for the last 3-4 years. And I think before that on extra innings as well, he used to always say, T20 cricket, you can play that with 6 batters and 5 bowlers, right? He says, because if 6 batters can't do it, 8 can't. And if 5 bowlers can't do your job for 4 overs apiece, then what will a 6 do? But you can argue about that. But DK, I think there's no argument about the fact that you definitely need cover. You need bowling options beyond your 5 in this format in one-day cricket.
Oh, absolutely. There is no doubt about it. for a start, there have been so many cases where somebody has a bit of a niggle and they go inside for a couple of overs, or sometimes they don't end up bowling in that game. You need that sixth bowling option. As a captain, I promise you, if you don't have six options, then you're really struggling. Because eventually in every game that you play, one bowler is going to go for runs, no matter how the game is. So, you want to at least psychologically have that feeling that you have another bowler to fall back on. Because if you don't, then you're always behind the 8 ball. It gets very difficult for you to rotate bowlers, make the bowling changes required. And you got to understand also, if you've bowled somebody for 4-5 overs, you can't bowl them for the next 10-12 overs. So those kind of decisions as a captain becomes that much harder. If you want to bring back a bowler, then you have to literally keep all these bowlers exactly for the roles that they've picked in many ways. You can't change anything about it. It becomes very rigid as a bowling unit. So you need that sixth bowling option. And with the new rules in place in the last 4 years, it makes it that much harder for you to have a part-time bowler bowling. So you need to have a proper bowler there.
All right, let's bring the two of you in on this combination. Yeah. Sorry, Harsha, yes.
Just one other thing with that. You can argue, look, is Ashwin going to be playing the 2023 World Cup? Let's look at others. Is Jayant Yadav going to be playing the 2023 World Cup? And so by looking at Jayant Yadav, are you learning a little bit more? Look, I like Jayant Yadav because he toils away on the domestic circuit. Him, Jalaj Saxena, people like him, they keep playing day in, day out. They must get what chances they get. But who's more likely to make a difference? I know Ashwin's had a couple of poor games, one poor game, one not so good game. In fact, he started off last game bowling beautifully, and then the stumping missed and he fell off after that. But if Ashwin's not in the run for 2023, and that's the reason you're leaving out, neither is Jayant Yadav in the run for 2023. So I'm a little curious about that. I'd love for Jayant Yadav to do well now that he's got the chance. But
I'll tell you what, I'm a little confused by what has happened in ODI cricket after the Champions Trophy of 2017. Just let's talk about the spinners, right? You had Ashwin and Jadeja, who were your spinners at that point in time. You got rid of them. You got Kulcha. Kulcha did well for you, but suddenly Jadeja sneaks back in. Ashwin's not part of your white ball plans for 4 years, and then he comes back in the T20 World Cup. And now, obviously, Kuldeep has completely fallen off the radar. Now you're trying Jayant Yadav. There was a Rahul Chahar in there somewhere. Yes, I know you want to experiment or audition or look at what people are doing. But there seems to be a lot of confusion, DK, for me sitting here saying, all right, you're going to play two spinners when the ODI World Cup happens in 2023. I'm really confused on who those two will be.
At this point of time, outside of Chahal, if you take the wrist spinners, it's got to be Bishnoi or Rahul Chahar. And I think looking at the way things have panned out, I do get the feeling Bishnoi is probably slightly ahead right now, even though what we need to see is how badly is Chahal bowling. I mean, his stats say that he hasn't had the best of years over a period of time, but for his, in many ways, he's lucky because I think there's nobody pushing him for a place in the spot. And also you have to understand these things happen because of the lack of domestic cricket right now. We're only looking at IPL. There's nothing else to look at in terms of new bowlers. Fast bowlers are there in plenty. But when it comes to wrist spinners, there's hardly any. And that is always going to be an issue if you don't play domestic cricket, because you need people with a lot of wickets, especially wrist spinners. And they haven't played the longer format. They just play like 4 to 5 games of Vijay Hazare, and that's all you get as a sample to choose from. And that becomes that much harder. That's why in the last 2 years or 3 years, you haven't seen anybody new coming out from the ranks. And that one of the main reasons, obviously, is COVID, and it's played havoc for a lot of the domestic cricketers. And I'm sure as much as all the international cricketers want a break, I think a lot of the domestic cricketers want a game right now. They're really missing playing the sport. And that's the sad part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the first two choices would have been, the first two choices would have been Jadeja and Akshar. Not only is Jadeja injured, Akshar's also injured.
Yeah.
So if Jadeja or Akshar were available, I don't think Jayant would have been in the squad. The squad.
Also, I think you have to understand that Washington Sundar was there at the start, and he had a fabulous Vijay Hazare, and COVID obviously struck, and he missed the plane. Otherwise, he would be playing. I think we'd be very happy looking at a Washington Sundar playing. But if you do see the other options there right now, we are not left with many in terms of fingers. In terms of wrist spinners, there's just one guy there, one, and obviously you have Rahul Chahar and Ravi Bishnoi, who haven't ever played one-day cricket for India. So at some point, if you need to see them, then you have to let go of a Chahal. It's going to be hard to have everything there. So that's the thing.
There's Chahal, of course. There was a Chahal who was before the World Cup, and there's a Chahal who's after the World Cup, right? I mean, you can tell. For me, T20, as far as T20 format is concerned, he's first pick, right? He's got the kind of heart to say, all right, try to hit me for a 6, right? And I guess bowling in Chinnaswamy for so many years gives you that. You have no choice but to think like that, right? Because that's going to happen more often than not in that little stamp-sized ground.
I have a question for DK, which is I want to ask him about the keeper-bowler combination that works so well. Has the decline of Kulcha coincided with the going away of MS Dhoni? Because I find in the IPL, Chakrabarti is at his best when DK is keeping. And I'm not saying this because DK is here, but to give us an insight into the keeper-bowler combination. Are there some bowlers who need the keeper to keep telling them what to do or what is possible, what is the angle? And when a keeper is contributing that, they become better bowlers. But if the keeper is not contributing that, they suddenly don't become as good bowlers. Does that happen, DK, very often?
100%, Harsha. I think the advent of their bowling is dipped because somebody like MS Dhoni has not been there post the World Cup. I can tell you that for sure because I've seen how much he helps them when they get hit for boundaries. They don't need help when the going is good. When they're bowling, they're getting beaten. They don't know which way the ball is turning. Then MS doesn't say much. But there are some times when somebody comes and hits a slog sweep or just plays a reverse sweep. Then you have these wise words of wisdom coming from a man who has so much experience and they love him so much. It's like worth its weight in gold. They completely trust him. Virat Kohli could have been the captain at many of those matches. But who are they listening to? If I'm honest, definitely MS Dhoni. What field to set? What line to bowl? What should the bowler be thinking? These are the three questions that keep revolving around in their minds. What line should I bowl? What field should I set? What is the batsman trying to do? And for all three questions, the man to give the best answer is without doubt the keeper, which happened to be MS Dhoni, and he really guided them well. And I'm telling you, you take a look at how well spinners have done for CSK. There must be a reason, right? The same Jadeja, when he's bowling for international cricket, struggles bowling at various points of time in white ball cricket. But when he goes back to CSK, he is used in such a way that it gets the best out of that bowler. You take the spinners, Mitchell Santer has done well. If you take Imran Tahir, he was a match winner for them. It's just that they couldn't fit him in the... So the man has something about him because over a period of time, he's able to throw bowlers, not only fast bowlers back into the Indian team, but also he's able to raise the level of spinners that play for CSK, make them better bowlers. But the same bowlers, like Ravindra Jadeja played for CSK, but he also played for Gujarat Lions. He wasn't a patch of what he was. So there must be something to it. I was the keeper for Gujarat Lions. I don't think I helped Jadeja too much. But with an MS Dhoni behind, it gives him a lot of confidence, I feel, in terms of what to do, what not to do, etc.
What do you do with Varun?
I would like to think I play a small role in whatever fields he's setting. I just tell him in Tamil what the batsman is looking to do. I have a feeling he's going to do this. Those small cues definitely, I believe, will help him. At least will alert him. I think what you can do as a keeper is create awareness. After that, it's up to his skills and what he needs to do beyond that. Which is where I think as a keeper, you just come in and give him that heads up if possible.
Yeah, remember that KKR versus CSK game, Gaurav, where the two KKR boys were speaking in Tamil because nobody in the CSK team understood Tamil.
Yeah, we spoke about that right here on Cricbuzz Live. What are you looking at though, DK? When a spinner is bowling and you're looking at the batter, what all are you looking at?
For a start, various things on that wicket. What's the speed to bowl? What's a good line to bowl? It changes a lot. Sometimes when there's a little bit of spin, then you get a bowler like, say Washington Sundar, then you tell him to come slightly outside the off stump and try and beat the gap between bat and pad. Whereas if the wicket is nice and flat, just tell him try and stay as much as possible on the stump so that if the batsman misses, tries for a slog sweep, hits the pad, you get him out. It's as simple as that. If the wicket is slow, then obviously you need to bowl slightly fuller because they'll find it harder to score runs of the front foot. Examples like these. So for you to understand the wicket, what the batsman is doing, some people might be very good leg side players. So then you tell him, okay, go round the wicket and try and angle it out. Just basic cues like this. Bowlers are not they're clever, but sometimes obviously in the pressure and there's so many things happening around, they're also looking out for themselves. They tend to think very differently. Whereas all I'm doing is looking at the ball and trying to catch it. And also I have a batsman in front who I'm able to gauge as to what he is doing. So, obviously in between overs, when you go and give them insight, the way they start thinking changes, and that makes a massive difference.
The feet as well, right? You're looking at the batter's feet because it's a bit like when you go to parties and you dance. Some days your feet are moving better than they're moving on others, right?
Absolutely. The difference between what a keeper can do and what an analyst can do is on that. Generally, analysts obviously will throw in stats what's happened over a period of time. But a keeper obviously can give you exactly what is happening on that day, how the batsman is feeling without any preconceived notions, which is what will give you that extra 1% or 2% in terms of a bowler and give him the confidence, say, okay, let me try and do this. So that's the difference.
Real-time data, man. Real-time data. That's what you need. An analyst can give you a pattern, but a keeper can give you real-time data. Let's bring out that list again, and Harsha, get you in on who do you think the best pace options are. DK was talking about the other day about how you need a little more enforcing in the middle overs, right? You need a little bit of raw pace. There's a fair bit of raw pace in that last column.
Obviously, Siraj is not 100% fit still. I don't think they're confident of getting 10 out of Siraj. Otherwise, they'd have played him. No doubt at all.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to see how Siraj goes with Kohli not captain. Since we talked about the bowler-keeper combination, the bowler-leader combination, I'd like to see how Siraj goes in his career now that Virat is not captain. But clearly, Siraj, I don't think they thought Siraj was fit enough to bowl 10 overs. So they've pulled him out. Prasidh Krishna, I think, has got some pace about him. You know, Prasidh is one of those bowlers. I don't know if DK's seen a lot of him.
Yeah.
Just the wrong things happen to him sometimes. He'll bowl a great spell and there'll be a little no ball somewhere, there'll be a free hit and those figures go bad. He'll bowl 4 great balls and the figures get spoiled with 2. And I think that is part of the learning process where he's got to learn to say, I've bowled 4 great balls. I'm going to finish my over beautifully by bowling 2 even better balls, but I'll string 6 good balls together. But I think there's definite potential there with Prasidh Krishna. So that is the little extra pace that you might have wanted. He's got that little extra pace about him. I want to see the length Chahar bowls, because Chahar also started out as an out-and-out swing bowler. He tends to hit more backward length these days. So those are the 2 things I'll be looking for.
Tell us about Prasidh before we get you on the other bowlers. I'm curious about Prasidh now that Harsha's brought up his kind of mindset and thinking.
I have a few points there if they can put up the stat. Number one, about Prasidh, he's a lovely guy, but he's a bit of a free spirit in his bowling. He has his own mind. He's a bit like Ashwin, if I might say. He has his own mind. He has his own ways to think, and that sometimes gets the best of batsmen out. But a lot of the times, is unfair. Also makes him go for runs. Even this game, I can promise you, he's one of those guys who won't bowl you 10-40. But he will definitely give you 10-72, 3 wickets, 10-72, 2 wickets. So, he's a wicket taker, but he goes for runs because he tries for a wicket a lot. He's an attacking bowler. In his mind, he is, as I said, in many ways, he thinks on his own. That's why he's such a good death bowler, because he's not scared of getting hit, because he's somebody who he's very good at reacting. He's somebody who somebody moves around in the crease, steps out. It's not very easy to play him if you do those kind of things. So that's why he's been a good death bowler whenever he's come. The new ball obviously is probably his lesser strength, so to say. He's a better bowler at death. But what you will see out of him is the new ball. If he gets to move, he's a terrific bowler there as well. He's somebody who I believe will definitely pick you a couple of wickets consistently without a doubt, because of his bounce, because of the way he tries to get a wicket and his mindset. Also, one name that I saw among the fast bowlers there, which is very interesting, is Mohammad Shami. Where does Mohammad Shami sit in the scheme of things exactly? Over a period of time. And the 2 names that I would like to see coming into that in specialist bowlers, one is Avesh Khan. I think he needs to be there. He's done really well. Yeah. He's got the pace. He's got the change of pace as well. And another name which I think will definitely help Indian cricket is Shivam Mavi. I think he's a good. Absolutely. If you see the whole list there, everybody is an outswinger. You need somebody who can bring the ball back in. He bowls 140 plus. It's sad that he's playing for a state like UP, where sometimes, obviously they have so many fast bowlers that they have Bhuvi, they have obviously another guy called Yash Dayal, then there's Shivam Mavi, then I can keep getting the list there. So sometimes he gets to bowl one change, but he's a proper new ball bowler who can pick wickets. And he has the ability to swing the ball late. And if you see IPL consistently, he's got good batsmen out, like, the Butlers and, Faf du Plessis. And he has a bit of pace, terrific fielder, can bat a bit as well. And these are the kind of guys that I would love for Rahul Dravid to invest in, because he has seen Shivam Mavi. First up, he has seen him. If at all anybody knows about a Shivam Mavi, it is Rahul Dravid. And if you take that list, everybody is an outswinger. And I would love to see a little bit of variation in swing, which is very important sometimes, because he'll be a good bowler to left-handers as well.
Absolutely true. Every time I look at scorecards, we don't get to see that much cricket. Whenever there's domestic cricket, I tend to look at scorecards. Every time you look at the scorecard, Mavi's got wickets. And that suddenly sticks in your head, look, this guy seems to take wickets. Every time you see, he's got wickets. And that's the kind of bowler that you want. Very impressive. I'll go so far as to say, if I was sitting on the IPL auction table, Shivam Mavi would be among the top of my list for Indian fast bowlers.
Okay, let's show you the Indian team real quick, because India's made 4 changes today. 2-0 down, series is gone. So obviously a good opportunity to experiment for Rahul Dravid to have a look at some of the players. So you've got Surya Kumar Yadav. As you know, I'm very happy about seeing Sky. I've been talking about it in the first 2 games. So, yay for me. Surya Kumar Yadav, Jayant Yadav, Deepak Chahar, Prasidh Krishna. We had 2 Iyers in the previous game. We've got 2 Yadavs in this game. And the ones sitting out, Ashwin, Bhuvi, unfortunately looking very off color in the previous 2 games. Venkatesh Iyer and Shardul Thakur. Well, you can say that Shardul Thakur, well-deserved rest after what he's done in the last 2 games, especially with
did
the
he want the
backs
rest,
and
though?
the changes. I really don't think he would have. I don't think anyone. I remember Jasprit Bumrah telling me once, we were filming something, and this was after he was rested in New Zealand. And I said, "Are you enjoying the rest?" He says, "No, I'm restless. I want to play." It was so sweet the way he said it. He said, "I want to play. I want to bowl." You don't blame him. I think besides the batters who are facing him, everybody wants him to bowl.
One of the things we learned from the India-England series, test series in India, is that players want to play, don't want to be sent off on a flight home to walk their dogs in winter, because they all want to play, and they kept resting players who wanted to play. Anyway, so there you are. By the
South Africa team. Let's have a look at. I'm just going to have a quick look at the South Africa team as well, because they've got some personnel changes. Well, just one. They've got Dwayne Pretorius in, and there is no Tabraiz Shamsi. They've given another chance to Sisanda Magala. Looked kind of had a iffy half kind of game, the previous one, but they're still persisting with him and going ahead. They've not looked like experimenting much, Harsha, but they don't even want to. I mean, we talked about this, and we actually said that you may just see Pretorius or Wayne Parnell in, and not really any other changes. Their batters are doing well. Look set.
Look what they've done. They've played a seamer for a spinner. Sometimes it's very good to see what the home team is doing, because the home team understands the conditions better. And Cape Town, traditionally, there's a bit of seam movement. There's a bit of bounce around in Cape Town. So they obviously think one spinner is enough for them. So they've gone with Pretorius. But Pretorius is not normally a 10 overs bowler for them. Neither is Peklukwayo or 10 overs bowler day in, day out. So they've got 2 of those out of 5 in that list. India should look at that and say, if we get a good start, there's pressure to be put on the opposition bowling.
Interesting. DK, your thoughts on that? The batters, their batters have done well. Their batters have out-batted India in both games. They are not going to fiddle around with that, right? I mean, it's looking really solid from 1 to 6.
Absolutely. I think they're looking at it as a 3-0 whitewash is possible, and for that they're trying to play the best team possible for those conditions. And I completely agree. Not often these days do you get the opportunity to whitewash an Indian team, and if you do get the opportunity, why not go for it and give it your best shot? If it happens, it's going to look really good on the CV of Temba Bavuma and for the South African team as well. If it doesn't, I think we would still say that they were the better team over a 3-game period. So fair enough, and I think they've picked the best 11 possible, and I completely agree with what they've done.
Okay, let's have a look at a joy factor question, because if there's anything harder than contemplating a whitewash of Team India, it's trying to crack the joy factor question. Which celebrated cricketer's autobiography, published in 2018, has a title that literally means the exact opposite of what he was famous for as a cricketer? Okay, what is this? Yeah. What is this? What is this?
It's like AB de Villiers publishing an autobiography saying blocking to the bowler,
Called Tuk Tuk.
or still in the crease,
or Krishnamachari Sri Tukar from the film 83, or MS Dhoni saying I so angry. You guys get the drift, right? You guys get the drift. Any guesses? DK normally sorts it out. DK, give us a region guess, at least a country, help people a little bit. Something, anything.
I don't know. At this point of time, really nothing comes to my mind. I'm not big with autobiographies. That's the problem. It's not a genre that I enjoy reading much.
Oh, really? I really like autobiography. My favorite, I think, Richard Branson's. Love Richard Branson's. Also,
I like Open by Agassi.
The best.
Phil Knight.
The best. Open by Agassi is the best. It's the most kind of gut-wrenching, pour my heart out into the pages kind of. All of you out there, I'm guessing you're sports fans if you're here watching Cricbuzz Live.
Did Misbah write an autobiography saying driving at 200 miles an hour? Actually, that's a good story in itself. What could contrary names of autobiographies have been?
Yeah, we'll come back with that. We'll come back with that in the mid-show. We'll think of a few. There's a task for all 3 of us. We need to think 3, and they've got to be super funny, okay? You got 50 overs to think it. It is a very slow game. You have enough time to think of 30. I'm just asking for 3, okay? going to come back with that. If you have the answer to this Joy Factor question, which is a tangible, it's factual, then send it to us. #Cricbuzz Live on Twitter. #Joy Factor as well. A big thank you to Professor Bhattacharya for sending us these little googlies for every game. And a big thank you to Dinesh Karthik and Harsha Bhogle. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being on Cricbuzz Live. We will be back at the end of the 15th over with Cricbuzz Combox. That's going to be the little update that we come with. India has won the toss in this third game and decided to chase South Africa batting. I'm Gaurav Kapur. We'll see you in a bit. Enjoy your lunch.